Hello, everybody. I think, with the delay on how it works, I think we're live. And yes, it says going live. So welcome, everybody. I just speak BOSTO over to all of us and favor, be of service to others. Be of service to yourself first. That's what I say. And happy birthday if you're having one. So good to see the Soul Tribe collecting and hanging out. And I am honored today to have a good friend and definitely one of the founders of the tribe itself, Mr. Robert V. from the Milky Way Soul Tribe channel. What's up, Robert?
I made it. I finally got on here after all this time of waiting. It's been one thing or another, but hey, I got a job, I got to go to work, and that's the way it is. And
Yes.
I had a better schedule a while back, and then they changed it up. And then it's like when you're working Monday through Friday, you can't just say,
Hey, listen, man, I got to go and do a YouTube thing, It's like, yeah, sure, no problem.
I know it.
Well,
it just doesn't always work out the way you would like it to. But I always manage to put the show on and have it blaring through my speakers of my truck, and I'm listening. I usually come in for the beginning and say hello to everybody, and then I catch the tail end or something, to chat a little bit. Sometimes in the middle, or I eat my lunch, in there. But
yeah,
man, otherwise. But lately in the summer here and in the winter, it's just been so busy that you just can't. You can't.
sounds like favors working in your life. Abundant favor. I mean,
Yes,
yeah,
exactly that. And you know why that is because I give favor every day.
It works. That's all I can tell you.
It does. I have the thing pinned up on my fridge.
Yeah.
I say it. I remember it in my head. I say it during the day. I'm driving along and I'm thinking of favor, to this and favor to that, and favor on my body, and everything. And
so you have actually accomplished 1 and 2 in the exercise to increase concentration to bring manifestation. If you're thinking of a singularity of thought in the midst of your other, what we would call autotom faculties, you are practicing great concentration, Mr. Robert.
I like that.
It is.
Well, that was a very interesting show you had about the concentration thing, because, I've been asking myself about the meditation for the longest time. What is meditation? You sit there. I got I don't know where they are. They're right here somewhere. The rods raw. I keep them close by usually. But anyway, I got them, and then, you can hold them. And sometimes I hold them during the show, kind of mellows me out a little bit. And it works good, but then what's the concentration? Is the rods there what I'm concentrating on that's mellowing me out because I'm meditating? Is that what's making me focus? Because the focus part is the hard part, is it not?
It is. It is. I often equate meditating and concentrating in the following way. Meditating is like sitting in a drive-in, and I can watch the thing go by. I can focus in if I need on something like that, but it's a great journey for myself. That's how I see meditating. Concentration, when I really need to concentrate into effective materialization, like money, opportunities. Concentration is like being at the edit table. I can actually edit out the piece that I need to focus in on and get that firmly established within me, what my goal is. And then I get back into meditating. I don't know.
Yeah.
Different strokes for different folks. That's what they say.
Yeah, exactly. And each time, I see something now, or I was just talking about that this morning, and about unlearning what you knew and relearning new stuff. And it's really hard because you're still constant. You still know what you know from before, and it's hard to get rid of that and concentrate on the new stuff. You know what I mean?
Listen, I used to be, it's the old joke about the guy that jumped off the building, and the detectives came in, was talking to the woman on the 3rd floor, and they said, well, did you hear anything? She says, well, I knew that this guy was just a really a positive person. And he says, well, how'd you figure that out? She says, because as he was going down, I heard him say, so far, so good. And so my point is that I was so heavily indoctrinated that I was my own Satan. I was my own accuser. I was my own executioner, and I was my own prisoner.
Yes.
Because that's the cycle I was in. Because everything I seemed to do seemed to contradict the belief system that I was supposedly espounding to. But yet, in my quiet time within my temple, it was in complete disarray because, I was constantly living in this guilt, punishment, hopeful reward, guilt, punishment, and yeah.
Yeah. I find people live in denial about things. Yeah, a lot. And then I find myself saying the same things, just like you said. You brought up that perfect subject. How you know one thing, but you want to believe another, and then you can't distinguish the in-betweens. And even though you know that the world is round, boy, that guy who's talking about flat earth sure makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, and I equate the same thing, to whether it's philosophy, theology, doesn't really matter. It all in the end originates from a human being of some kind of sort, I think. And the thing that I had to use when my core shattered, I mean, it shattered. So for me, rebuilding the pieces was an ever reminder of, and also a warning that when you rebuild your core image, make sure that you leave room for adaptability.
Yeah, people don't like to change. They don't like to adapt or change. They do the same thing over and over and over until it kills them. I'm not kidding. They will keep. A smoker is a good example. I'm smoking. I'm not a smoker, but they smoke. Oh, it's bad for you. It's going to kill you. Oh, here, you got to wear one of these oxygen masks, and they're doing this. I got emphysema. And they, with one hand they got the mask on, breathing in the oxygen, and
well, there's a reason why routine comes from the word ritual. It is. It really is. Yes. In the weeks to come, I'm going to bring up another very controversial subject: teaching children to become witches and warlocks.
Oh boy, you're gonna get it.
I mean, it was God gay. That was a good one. I mean, it's still one of those ones that people are struggling with. And it's by the way, what a great segue. Next Friday, it looks like it's going to be a roundtable discussion, and got a really good group that will have the theme. Don't think it'll be a debate, be a discussion point: spirituality versus sexuality. Can the two coexist? And I think that's going to be a really fun conversation. So check into that one. I also want to give out a shout out to Jack Daniels. It's not the whiskey. If you don't know who Jack Daniels is, go to the Great Oracle and insert his name. And Jack is I believe, the creator and editor of High Times magazine, a whole list of other magazines. He is a really good musician, really is. I mean, and so how you doing, Jack? I got your number, and I'll be giving you a call, and looking forward to it. I'll be breaking an announcement where this is concerned. It's going to be fun. So anyway, let's see, we got a lot of people in the house. Yeah, I mean, are you checking it out? I mean, it is.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, chat room is full. Thank you for everyone.
We got all these people, and I know a lot of them, believe it or not, we can talk about that, is they're going to be coming on Saturday.
Got a full house on that?
Yeah. I think you're going to pop in for a little bit. I told everybody they can pop in. I know we got a lot of people, and I'm hoping that everybody can pop in for a few minutes and say a bit, and then, escalate themselves out, and we can get new people in, we can get everybody in, and we don't have such a big crowded room that everybody's talking over everybody.
It
But
works good in person, lousy in the digital world.
yeah, that is so true. But I know David Castle's going to come. I'm
Excellent.
absolutely, and Nina, she's going to come. I think she's going to do some giveaway stuff too. Oh, speaking of that, we are going to give away some stuff. I know Trina's going to be there. I know Al's going to be there, of course. And I've had emails from people who said they're going to come, like Lucky Stone and Julianne Payne. And so I know there's Teresa's going to be there, of course. And but we're going to be doing some card giveaways. I know you got your cards.
I'm telling you, I'm looking at them in my hand right
now.
now. They're fabulous.
Yeah.
I just blindly chose one, and look who came up. Oh, this is interesting. 2 cards. Here is Kaz.
Oh, yeah.
And then I looked right behind this, and of course, there is Brian's mom, Brenda.
Yeah, I think she's going to be on too.
Excellent.
Speaking of that.
Excellent.
She's going to pop in, and I'm hoping. I sent her a nice email saying that I would love to have her on, and she said she was going to. So I'm just waiting for her to confirm. But
it has to be difficult for Brenda, and we send our love to you, Brenda, and to the family there. It's a celebration, but then again, it's kind of it's amazing. You never quite heal from the absence.
Yes. But I take a lot about what you say all the time. And it's like, we're not here mourning. I don't want to mourn, and I don't want anybody out there to mourn.
It's a celebration.
It's a celebration. And
we're graduated.
Yes, exactly. We're all going to get there someday too. And I hope if anything ever happens to me, they throw a big party for me instead of a Morky funeral thing.
No, there will be none on my end. I'll be cremated. I believe that is the only way, and this is just my personal belief, that I can separate from what we call the mundane, which is the body itself. The idea of my body being in the ground, deteriorating, just freaks the freak out of me. It does. And I'm at that age now where, you have to give it serious consideration. And I think that cremation is the proper way for a spirit being to depart this realm.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Yeah.
I mean, if I came in through water, then I should be able to go out by fire and air.
Yes. I haven't made up my mind yet on that. So, but I think
it's a personal decision. Everyone has to look at it. I mean, from my Christianity background, this would be a heart. I mean, you're going to do cremation. I mean, don't you realize that there's the resurrection, the rapture, and I'm going, I don't know. When you look at a mummy, right?
Yeah.
And that's 3,000-4,000 years old. And I keep thinking, I know spiritually they're connected. There's no release.
Yeah.
Do you see that one video on, I think the Paranormal Caught and Capture, where they were in a British museum and they had the mummy of a priest. And when they were in there, they had an IR camera that was situated next to the casket, I guess, and sure enough, guess what they saw come by?
Oh, they seen
the priest.
Yeah. The priest. Oh yeah. Wow.
Yeah. It's like,
he just couldn't leave that,
I guess not. I don't know. That just sucks.
There's something to be said about all that. I mean, how thick is the veil that we're always talking about? I mean, you know what I mean? We're starting to use these cameras more and more, and these cameras are literally, you can take your little pocket camera here and literally catch so much more on this than you can with your own eyes.
True.
And I still haven't wrapped my head around that.
So the veil, it's interesting. Again, I wasn't, ordained minister and went to Bible school. And the interesting thing about the veil is that they say that at the moment when the Christ was crucified and released his spirit, that in the temple, in the Holy of Holies, the veil was rent from the top to the bottom. Now, the veil back then was 6 inches thick, meaning, and it was at least, they say, approximately about 20 feet high. So you think about the veil being ripped out, and they say it was at that time that the spirit realm came into this realm. But to answer your question, where I think about it, I sense that the veil is very thin.
Well, could it not have something to do with the magnetics of the earth? And since
We're
they're
electromagnetic beings.
And since they're getting weak, and the weaker they get, that could be that protective spear, because everything, as we know, everything works together. You can't change one thing without affecting something else.
And it definitely seems as well that, speaking of the cameras, whether it's an infrared, they got cameras now that are being able to pick up into different spectrums, AI programs that now, it's amazing because it wouldn't surprise me, AI is from the ether, so of course it would know. And apparently they're capturing a lot of different beings. They're bipedal. But they're not us. Well, we don't look like them, so I don't know. It's what's your view on that? Do you think that when you cross over, what's it going to be for Robert?
Well, I think when I cross over that I want to be on the top of my game, as you always talk about. I think I'm going to know more when I get there. I know it's going to be like a shock, to my system. And it's kind of like jumping in ice cold water.
Yeah.
If you're prepared for it, it ain't going to be as bad. It's kind of, okay, well, put it this way. You got a car and it goes over the side of a road and it splashes down in the icy cold water, right? And there's people in there trapped, and you come running up. What do? Look at them and go, you're going to die, or do you jump in?
Today, I wouldn't know. I think some people would say, but yes, the natural response is to try to save life.
Yeah, but if you're trained in how to jump in that water, and you're prepared for it, you're going to jump in that water and save those people without think about it. And you're going to be so prepared. And that's the part, what I'm saying is, if you're ready to do it, when you get into that water, it's going to be normal. Or sort of normal. You see where I'm going with that? And I'm using the icy water effect, because if you were just standing there and you dropped in the icy water, holy cow, it's going to be a shock to your system, right?
It's odd that we're talking about this, because I didn't have it on my list at all, but it's interesting. I'm reading this book, and it's dealing with the scientific evidence that has been accumulated over. Actually, this has been going on in a disciplined scientific approach for nearly 160 plus years. It's just within the last, I would say, 40, 30 years, we have made some tremendous breakthroughs in the aspect of being able to prove scientifically that when the body dies, that there is in fact this transference. And for the longest time, I kept on using the term consciousness, but that's not exactly correct, because if consciousness is defined in a generic term, then we're left with the equation is, then what about the personality? And this is what the book, in fact, I was up till about 1 o'clock this morning reading. I couldn't put the freaking thing down. And in the 4 chapters that I read, Robert, it was an amazing discovery to see, because these were things I had not even contemplated, that we assume that the transference of consciousness, you hear many type of beliefs and philosophies that, well, the personality is ego. How else would you define personality? But however, what the studies are showing is that consciousness is like a blank tape. It is something that's universal in its application. What begins to make the difference is how the personality begins to take on identification, where the personality begins to identify with self. And once self is identified with, personality is the natural outgrowth.
Mhm.
None of us have the same personality.
No, no, we don't.
So the book is chronologically showing how they have been able to measure personality of transference. I just
Well, you
fascinating.
know, the thing is if you have multiple lives, right? And every
So they
time,
say.
yeah, you know, just for instance, we're just playing.
Yeah,
Imagine,
I'm
you know,
assuming. Yeah.
assume you know, imaginary game here. You know, okay, you have multiple lives. You are still, if they wipe your memory and you got no memory, then you would have the only thing you could probably, you would bring habits, or you would bring your personality with you, because you couldn't, you know, wipe that away. Really, you would have that blank, totally blank slate. But yet, you know, little kids, even at their as they're born, and I don't know that much about little kids, but they'll say, oh, look, this baby does this and this baby does that, and, you know, they all have that personality right after they're born. Is that not true?
It's absolutely true. And according to the research, if you have a personality, guess what? You're going to have habits.
Mm.
And just as you were pointing out, and we didn't even talk about this, very intuitive of you, Robert, is the fact that the habits, the vices, it's what defines us.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Yeah.
it's amazing. And this is the intricacy of who we are. I was in the shower and I kept on saying, all right, Wayne, who are you? I mean, seriously, I mean, I think this, and because I've gotten to the point now where it's becoming oh so clear in focusing in on I.
Mm-hmm.
I I exist. I am more than a thought, but my thought represents my consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
But who is my consciousness? Do I
Mm-hmm.
know my consciousness? I don't know my consciousness when I'm asleep as much as they say when I'm, you see where it goes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know.
It's deep. It's deep, folks. It's not just now, of course, when the moment of transference, in which I am more convinced the land of the living, I mean, it is that moment when that thread is cut that, happens in a twinkling of an eye.
Here's a thought I had. Is that thread, okay, I had this thought. Is that thread the frequency thread? You know, considering, you know, because everybody's always talking about the thread, but
Hmm.
yet our body and our spirit or consciousness or whatever you want to call it is tied to that by a frequency, because each one of us has our own individual frequency. And when they're talking a thread, are they not actually talking a signal or a wave, or that would be your thread?
I think there has to be a like frequency, a resonance that would, allow the bonding to take place.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
I'm reading in other books, like for instance, when fetuses are naturally aborted
Yeah.
within the body. And we never have given this thought, is that okay? So was it just the body that was aborted? Or was there something more? Was there something with the spirit being that didn't work out? The frequency. I like how you say, was the frequency wrong?
Yeah, yeah. Well, and that's the thing, because we all know that everything is frequency, energy, you know, and light. You know, the light is a frequency too, and it's energy. I mean, everything boils down to those certain things, and so it has to be one or the other. And when they say it's this cord that ties you, well, how could you, you know, fly out of your body and go somewhere else and then come back, because you're still tied to that cord? That cord is your frequency you're following, like a telephone line, you know. So there's your cord.
And speaking of light, Robert, it's very interesting. Again, this was part of this book I was reading last night. So when we look at light, you and I and everyone else that's listening to us, hello, Jenny, how you doing, dear? Max Vision Remote is in the room. Good to see you. We'll give a call out to everyone here in a minute.
Yes.
But the thing about light, I have seen in my teachers have been teaching me, we don't understand light. But last night it was really interesting. I was reading the writings of this guy, and he said the interesting thing about the light spectrum, we're seeing a very narrow perceptible band of light. And if you go, for instance, to the right, you'll get into what they call the infrared light.
Mhm.
That light is not seen, but guess what? It burns. It's microwaves.
Yeah, microwaves.
Go to the other side where you begin to get into the ultraviolet spectrum. Guess what happens there? It's equated to freezing.
So you're
Low
between
bands.
the two, you got to be right in that sweet spot.
Well, and this is interesting because it goes with my theory that we don't there is a light. You see, I contend that the light that we see here in this realm, this is the dark light. This is the killing light. This light does in fact kill bacteria. It will kill germs. It will kill you.
Yeah.
That the natural real light that we don't know about is really called this dark light.
Mm-hmm. Is that?
And go ahead.
I was going to say, now I read somewhere that if they turned off the sun, that the earth would actually illuminate because the light comes out from the earth. I mean, we live on, it's hard to imagine that we live on this real thin layer of crust over a boiling sun. Am I wrong? So
no, that's what it is down there.
Yeah, and
damn hot.
And because it's like I got a flashlight and I have the little I got a watch with the you know what I'm talking about, bioluminescent hands, right? Now, as long as I'm out in the sun, I look at the watch and they don't light up. But if I go into the dark and I take away that big light, those things all of a sudden light up. That would be the earth. That would be
agree.
us.
Yeah.
In simple terms, I guess.
And that's what I am, when I began to explore the other side, because I believe we can. If you're going to buy a house or even rent a house, you're going to go in and check it out first, right?
Yes. Absolutely. I'm doing that. I'm doing that. I want to buy a house, and I'm looking, and I'm not going to buy sight unseen, for God's sakes. If I'm
who would? Kind of go with relationships too, right?
Yes.
And I believe that this knowledge has been deprived us of. This is where I contend, Robert, is that if we had a better understanding of what the other side is, this morning when I spent time meditating this morning, my guide came to me and, I don't know if it's male, female. It has sometimes more of a male tense, and other times very feminine. But anyway, simply said, Wayne, we already have you here. And the more that you understand, the more the celebration will be over there, because you will go through this process where so many folks, like you were actually saying, it's like death is birth. But when we come into this death realm, it takes these bodies months for us to get used to. And for many people that transcend, it takes them a long time to get used to the fact. But if we have that understanding, it's going to be a party, brother.
I got a question now, and maybe you can answer or not. And here's the thing: I've been wondering, being here, is this the only place we can learn? Because obviously, if you get to the other side, does your knowledge just freeze, stop? You can't learn or create or learn any more than what you know already. And then when you come here, you're bringing that knowledge over to there. But until you get there, you're just like in freeze frame.
I've read so many books on this, and it depends on the multidimensional man, biocentrism. There is that the thought is, and this is what I have seen, we continue to learn over there. I mean, it never stops.
Hmm.
It's as real there as it is here. I don't know if you have what you call the perception of a job. A job is just being sentenced to prison in a labor situation. What I have seen on the other side is it's spiritual. It's more what we would call adapting to our other senses, the sixth, the seventh, the eighth, the ninth, the 10th different senses. And if you believe in the reincarnation sling thing, then apparently when we hit different plateaus, this is where we come back in here. I'm not sure if I buy. Do you buy in the fact of the recycling program?
You know, it seems more plausible than not,
Mm-hmm.
because it would not make sense any other way. You'd be like a tin can, you know, once you're empty, you get tossed to the trash. But we know that energy is always energy. And like you said, you know, they can almost, I think that one experiment, I even read that, the one walking through walls where they weighed the
Yeah.
person, and then when they died, they lost mass. How does this happen? You know, there's something in there that escapes out of there. And where does it go then? You know, and it has, if it has mass, then it has energy, and therefore it's being displaced. There's something.
Yeah. And you see, all right. So let's walk this out. So here's what I cannot understand is that if I go through this thing according to the dogma of reincarnation, I am coming back in here to either pay for karma or I'm here to relearn or to learn something else. But I am learning in a realm of death.
Yep.
Could it be possible that what we think is reincarnations are nothing more than potential thought forms of what could have been Wayne Steiger in the year, whatever year this is?
Yeah.
And when we get to the other side over there, we suddenly realize that that's where, if there's going to be reincarnation, it will be more on the spiritual side, because I see reincarnation, Robert, as merely the physicality.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see where the spirit is learning, being constricted into dogmas like we have these dystopian governments today.
Well, this is where I think I think that other entities have figured this out, and we should be in a different state. Okay, so you come here to learn, right?
So they say, yeah, okay.
Okay, great. And I realized this myself. I had this argument with myself the other day, even. I'm working all day. I put in my 8 hours, sometimes 10. Then I get home. Well, then I get home and I'm actually working for my job yet, because I'm unwinding from my job. I got to drive home from my job. Then I got to pack my lunch for the next day for my job. Then I have to, go to sleep and get plenty of rest for my job. Then I have to get up in the morning and take a shower for my job, wash the clothes from my job, etc. It's all about the job. Oh, did I name anything for me?
It seems like you're a servant.
Yeah. So by having my life so full of that job that I need to have a house, electricity, a phone, food, a car, insurance, and all these other little things that take up all that money, that I have to trade my time, effort, and brain power for this job, which I'm learning nothing for my life existence at the job, but where I should be spending 99% of my time learning about my life and existence and expanding my brain knowledge. And instead, I'm focusing it all on this job so I can get some money, so I can have the food, water, shelter, clothes, all that kind of stuff. Am I
And when
wrong?
you think about it, Robert, you're giving the essence of your labor away again.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really, you're getting banged twice.
So I come down. So just say I came down here to learn something. I spent my whole life working, And when I got done, I accomplished almost nothing. So now I got to come and do it again.
I don't know, but that sounds like insanity to me.
It is, because somebody out there said, hey, you know, if these guys figure out too much, then they'll get out of the slave mentality faster. So we're going to give them all these treats and goodies and freedoms that they believe are. And you know, the best slave is one that thinks he's free. And as you do that, you're not learning. I don't have, you know how long it took me to read this book? And then how long it takes me to read this book? And then, you know, and this book, and then this. Oh, I love this book. You remember this book, right? Anyway,
oh, yeah, I haven't. It's one of my favorites.
So anyway, yeah, I was gonna bring some of those up. But anyway, so the whole point is it's taking me hours and hours. You know, I just can't sit there and read because I got work, I got to wash my clothes, I got to drive to work, I got to drive home. And when I, you know, and then on the day I'm off, I got to wash more clothes, go shopping for more food, more clothes,
spending more of your hard-earned money
for the job that's giving me the money so that I can go back to work for the job. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, I got a good job, but you know, is it really, is this what our purpose in life is to do? I want to learn more of this that's in there. And for me in here, so I can do the thing on the other side, versus, because that's where we're all headed. But instead, I'm spending more time laboring for somebody else for some cash.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking right to a core thing right here, because this is hell. If you look at the definition of it, there is very little for self. How do we learn a self when you're in a system that, as you say, your job, which is just above broke, that's what a job is.
Yeah.
It's designed and basically to keep you limited. And the problem is there's nothing wrong with a craft.
Yes.
And we don't hear that term anymore.
You
know, my first legitimate job was I was a exceptional journeyman drywall finisher. I mean, I was one of the elite. And it took me years to develop that trade. And as I moved out of the labor aspect of it, I had time all those years, my mind was concentrating. I mean, you know, you get into a job, you know, like, you know, construction, and a lot of it is, even in, you were telling me in your job, it becomes rote. You know what to do.
Yeah.
And then now what do I do?
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, the bad part is you get sort of indoctrinated into that. Do you never notice how so many people go through their whole life, they work that job, and then as soon as they get done, they're like, woohoo, I'm going to retire. And they retire, and a couple of years later, they're dead.
They're dead. And in fact, it goes generations.
Yes.
Yeah.
And because, and when they do get out, they aren't thinking about they don't know what to do with themselves, because that's all I know how to do is work. And I know how to go do that job. And when I get done, I've been so indoctrinated into that job, I don't know how to think anything else. But now here, hundreds of years ago, people did jobs like a farmer, a woodworker, you know, not saying everything's bad, you know, but when you're farming, it's more about the world around you. You know, you're growing those crops and you're seeing some product of your own hard labor.
Every farmer I know talks to the earth.
Yes, exactly. And now we have almost no farmers. and
all machines.
Yes, exactly. Nobody's talking to the earth.
No one is.
And we're supposed to be part of the earth. What was it? The Indians. I got all these Indian books here. You know, I was doing that Native American, you know, myths and legends thing. So I study a lot on that, and I've been reading and just filling my head full of stuff. But these people lived off of the earth. They gave thanks for the things. They just didn't go out and let's kill 500 buffalo and cut their tongues out and feast tonight. Well, what? You know, they took all the parts. They lived off the land. They gave thanks to the sun and the moon and the stars. and they had time to look at the stars. You know, they had time to look at the moon. It's changing. It's time. They didn't go, oh, our clock says 3 minutes past. You're fired. You know, you're late.
You didn't clock in.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. You know,
Yeah.
it was like, well, it's the sun is up. It's time to get going, or it's, you know, there was no rush. It was all about nature. Yeah, sure. There's things they had to do stuff for work, but it was more about how you know, it was all intertwined. Life, earth, myths, legends, all that stuff was intertwined with living. We don't do that now.
And I don't want to add one other part of that too, because I've known some farmers. They were solid in their wisdom. They had a common sense knowledge, and you know, the things that, like you said, you have the opportunity to observe all of nature. You know, there isn't a farmer I don't know that doesn't give thanks to the air, to the water, to the earth, even, you know, to, you know, whatever God it is that they're believing in. And I think we've lost that. You know, Robert, if I was thinking, my wife and I were talking about this, you know, it's amazing how much I long for the day where there was no technology.
Yeah.
It's serious. I hate this dystopian thing called technology. I hate it.
Well, and the thing is it depends. And back 500 years ago, you know, what technology did they have that they might have said the same thing about? But it's all about how you use that technology. You know, that technology could save your life if you had a heart attack, but it also could monitor you every move you make while you walk through your house.
Yeah, but that's a different thing, though. I think the technology of the Industrial Revolution was the ability of man creating with his hands to help his burden be less. What we have today is that it's taking away the essence of personality, because now you become nothing more than a digital number.
Yes, and that's all because somebody decided to do that with that technology.
So let me ask you, I've done videos on this, and this is a great time because I'm glad to have you on this. It's exciting. I like this. Okay. So what makes you think that if they cannot, they've already trapped us, that they have not already trapped the spiritual essence as well, that the technology really is the manifestations of the archons?
Well, it's back to what I was saying before. Now, okay, if that paper that I was reading about walking through walls was correct, and they know that there's an essence that comes out of the body, and if we already, and I'm a layman and I'm not a super scientist and I don't know a whole lot, you probably know more than I do about this stuff, but the thing is if we know that each person has a frequency, right? And we know that everybody is tied to that frequency through the body, right? And they're making a sim city of us in some computer land and monitoring everything we do. Do you not think they could put 2 and 2 together, thinking, hey, if we know we can take that frequency, and when we kill the body here, we can put it in the sim city over here?
I contend that's exactly what they've done already. We are
well, exactly. And they're just waiting for us to die to put us in the sim city and say, guess what? You know, because if I can think of that, you know, they have already thought of it.
Did you see the movie Free Jack with Emilio Estevez?
Yes.
And, you know, that was really the progenitor of what we see today, was the fact of the transference, that you could pull a person out from the past and pull their consciousness into the future, into you.
Yeah.
And your master personality would absorb that essence, and basically you become that young person again.
And there's what was that guy's name? It escapes me. And you've probably seen, he's got videos all over. People do his videos over and over about how he traveled to the year 20 or way into the future, and then he traveled into the past. He was on that boat that disappeared, whatever the heck, I can't think of the name. I'm thinking too fast now. Remember the Philadelphia experiment? He was one of those guys, and he went into the past, he went into the future, he's being bebopped everywhere, and then eventually he came back as this other guy in the past, and he was describing that he went into the future and he was actually in somebody's body. It wasn't him growing up in the future. It was him being transferred into this body into the future, and then they took him and sent him back to the past in another body. So it was like you were saying, they were transferring his essence all over the place.
So let's expand on that, because, you know, I know those stories and they're fascinating, particularly the Philadelphia experience. It actually happened. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, there were many sailors on, what was the boat? Now I can't think of the boat.
Not the Fitzgerald, the Frank. It starts with an F, I think.
Yeah, close to it. That, yeah, they died from that. I mean,
yes,
finding people embedded in metal, that had to be hell, and they were alive.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Now, so that kind of tells you that organic matter blending in with what we would call solid matter, and yet the essence of life is still able to exist.
Mm-hmm.
What the freak's going on there?
Yeah, I know it.
All right, so in all this, and again, here's what bothers me. If we look and we boil this all down, all of these experiences that we're talking about, time travel, future, it's all just Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, wait a minute. I mean, I can look out at the stars at night. I get the idea that, you know, that this universe is, you know, mind-boggling, more than I can apprehend and take in. But damn it, it can't be this role playing over and over again in this particular thing that we call Earth. Eventually, this Earth will end.
Yes.
So does all essences, all life, all does everything end when the Earth ends? What happens? Do we choose another planet?
Obviously, we must, you know, because if we're infinite beings and Earth cannot be infinite, then
finite.
Then we must move on. And just like we can see a solar system or a sun blow up, you know, light years away, well, that one's getting ruined. Where'd all those people go? If there's life living on all the planets, where's that life going?
And exactly. And if ET exists, which apparently the United States government is admitting, yeah. All right. So they obviously have an origin where they came from. Is the same cycle taking place there? I mean, is this what we're seeing? Is the Uberus and its continuation being manifested in everything where we call life, consciousness?
Yeah. Well,
that means this whole freaking universe is a damn trap.
Well, it's a
trap. Yeah. It's a trap.
It's a trap.
Run, Forrest, run.
It's a big cycle. Like, you know, I mean, I had a farm, and, you know, I raised chickens and goats and sheep and cows and horses, and you name it, I think I had it. And it's always the same cycle. When one thing dies, there's always something being born. You know, the chickens were having eggs and a sheep died. Then another sheep had a baby and the chicken died, you know, or you know, you got a horse and then you have a colt. And then, you know, the one horse gets old and dies. And then you got another colt over here. And it's always a cycle. It's like one day you're sad and the next day you're overjoyed. And if that's to teach anybody anything, you're just saying that if it's like anything else out there, if this is the way it is, then everything is like that. Not to put a big label on it, but you can see our government starts with it, you know, it works down to the peons. It's a pyramid. It's always a pyramid. It's always a cycle. It's always this, it's always that. It's always frequency and energy. It's always, you know, those things. It all can be linked. So why would something be so totally different? Like, oh, the sun blew up and nobody got killed. You know, and the Earth became the sun, and we radiated throughout, and that's never happened before, but now it is, you know.
And I think that kind of goes to the theme here. It's an interesting, because these are the questions that I see are the pulls that bring together a community. I mean,
yeah,
this group here, it's, you know, I recognize the names, I know them, I know many of them by their faces, and look at what's happened now. I mean, and it's a forum where we can come together on each other's programs and get into these type of discussions which I think this is what what our existence is supposed to be. We should be back in the days of Plato. We should be back in the days of Ephesus and Thessalonica, where the cities had their amphitheaters. And what most people don't realize is that most people didn't work. Granted, they had slavery, but the vast majority of the populations of people did not work. They had farms, they had their little, gardens, and they would come together virtually every day into the amphitheaters. And Robert, you could get up into the center and you would say, I'd like to discuss this. And within the amphitheater of the forum, great wisdom would be brought forth.
Yeah.
Debate, discussion.
Well, and that's the thing here, like you were talking about technology. This technology we have right now, we're using it.
We're using it to our advantage. Yeah.
This is what we're doing. We're having great discussions using this technology. If we didn't, we'd be in that amphitheater and I probably would have never met you because you're way there and I'm way here, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
So, but this technology is great. It's the people who are abusing this technology and then leading you on to say, well, it's better. You could have more discussions if you just lose the body and we put you in the Sim City. Oh yeah, I can do that. Great. No. But that's what I'm saying is those people could have those great discussions in those amphitheaters because they went home and they used their brains and thought of great things while they weren't working all day.
Exactly. I write a lot, and I was telling Lynn that the more that I have concentrated into writing, it's amazing how things begin to congeal. And I think about the waste of what we do. We work 45 years, the primes of our life, and we bleed it out to something that we neither see nor understand, but are compelled to obey.
Yeah.
If that's reincarnation, then what you're telling me is that we're sentenced to this ever evolving hell.
Yeah. Well, and then the question is how do we get out of it?
I still hold this. My teachers, when I'm in the classroom, they have told me many times, don't be so sure of what you think something is. What if the reincarnation thing is a myth? Or let's say this, we're all not the same, because what you and I have assumed in our conversation here is that we have a commonality, which they would call a nominal. This is something you and I both share, is that on the inside, you and I are the same. We have this spirit essence that all spirits are the same. I'm becoming more and more convinced that's not the case. There may be those spirit beings that go through this as kind of a requirement of a course, but they ain't coming back. There's nothing more to be learned here that can't be learned somewhere else.
Yes.
Maybe there is a spirit being that was truly created at the essence of this temporal, corporeal world. And they have no ascension other than by what they can learn through each reiteration that they're going.
Well, yeah. I mean, think about it. If you were on a gas giant world, and that, say you lived as a kind of an incorporeal spirit there on a gas giant world, everything was gassy, and sure, you could make up your gas chair and have a gas garden and, do all those gassy things and whatever. It'd be kind of the same. Yeah, exactly. But everything is different there. You could walk through your wall, even though you made it, but then when how much could you learn there? And then you'd need to come here to learn stuff here to make everything complete. Like you're talking about the different levels. You couldn't learn everything you need to know in gas world. You would have to come to solid physical world to put other parts of the thing together, wouldn't you not?
Yes. And Martin and Heidi, I didn't work 45 years. That's the average.
Yes.
I learned very early that, anyway, I won't get into that, but I want to get back to that very point, because it very well could be that there is a purpose for a person or an essence to come through this to experience it. Because here's the deal, Robert. I teach a lot on magic, a lot of the occult. Because the reason why I do is that this is hidden knowledge. Not saying that it's all, that it's all plausible. Hey, listen, I came from an environment where, I could speak in tongues and give an interpretation. So for me, the spiritual realm, I'm very akin to it. I know it.
Yes. Yeah.
It knows me. But the point is, most of the people who they don't, they wouldn't get these books or these PDFs, but when they're exposed to them, they listen, but they don't believe. They don't believe that a human being has the ability to actually concisely bring in energy and begin to manipulate energy within itself. They don't believe that the fact that you can move immovable objects, or that you can actually cast a spell and have something that defies the laws of physics take place. Because after all, brother, we're in a practical world. That's just a bunch of bullshit, that Harry Potter crap, but that's how people look at it. Except for those of us who take it very seriously. And what we realize is that it's not so much the physical aspect of it, is that what we can do up here.
Yes. Yes. It's that energy that's trapped inside our body that can do a lot of stuff. Problem is, we were just never told
Bingo.
that we could do that. We were told that you and me and everybody else are identical, and we do all the same things. We just have a little bit different personality, but we're exactly the same. So if I need to take this medication, or if I need to take that medication, it's exactly the same. But you know what? It's not, because the diagnosis is going to be different, because everybody is different. Every single person is tweaked a little bit different.
And I think that applies spiritually as well.
Well, yeah. Well, and that's what makes us different. The spirit, because remember, you can't see. I could be sitting in the car with you, and you see the same thing as I do, but I see it at a little bit different angle. So no matter how much you think your spirituality is right, mine's going to be a little bit different.
And I think that from what I have experienced, that there are so many different spirit beings, whatever you want to call them, in what we would call the spirit realm. And you do, believe it or not, will find your own tribe, because it's dangerous out there.
Yes.
The spirit realm is a dangerous, dangerous place.
Well, see, that's the thing with the spirit realm. Everybody wants to lump it because they've been taught through the Bible and stuff.
Yeah, that is false idea.
So it's either you got God and good, or you got the devil and evil. And you got spirits or good, you got the angels, or you got the demons, and and they all fall in these categories. And there's only two different kinds of things, but no, there's tons of different ones. They look at something and say, well, that ain't so good, that must be this. That not so, that's really good, that must be that. And it's not always the case. How do you can't do good without doing bad, and you can't do bad without doing good. So tell me the difference.
Damn conundrum, isn't it?
It is. Exactly. I might do something really good for somebody, like bring them a chicken dinner, and they say, wow, this is the nicest thing ever, but I had to kill a chicken.
Had to give its life up.
Yeah. So did I do good or bad?
I mean, and that's that death realm concept. In order for you to live, you got to kill something, and then you got to consume it.
Yeah.
What the freak? I mean, who came up with this construct? I mean, hey, how about, Robert, we just build this here world where, you put everybody in and they got to eat each other. We'll just sit here and watch and see actually who comes out on top,
Yeah, that might be actually the whole plan.
It might be exactly the plan. It's like, hey, there they go. Well, we know those two got away. Yeah, all right.
Oh man, oh man, oh man. You're exactly right. Who's going to win out on it? Who's going to be the best? Who's going to be the last two fishes swimming?
That's exactly it. I mean, I know that the other side is, like I said, we do, and this is true, we will find our own tribes. I believe many of us here, You see, I don't believe that my friend, my brother, Brian,
Mhm.
would have the need to come back in. He would do more good,
Mhm.
I believe, as a teacher in the ethereal realm than ever coming back through here, because, you know, we got to know Brian, and we'll talk more about him tomorrow night, but there is an essence. When I
Mhm.
pass, the same thing is going to happen. It's the fact that I believe we take something from here that can't be gained there, but that's not necessary to come back here over and over again.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how. Wow, the
Yeah.
freaking hour just went by like that.
Oh,
What
I,
the
I know.
hell
I wanted to
happened?
mention a few things, you know.
Yeah, go ahead, brother.
I'm gonna be giving a bunch of soap away. I got a whole box of soap from Crystal MacArthur,
Way to
and it's
go,
all
Christo. Much love to
and
you, hon.
and we're gonna be giving a lot of this away to the Soul Tribe, you know, and all they'll have to do is get in the chat room. I have Teresa, who's gonna be taking names and throwing them in a hat, and we're gonna draw for bars of soap, and I'll be sending that out. I got Ana Caranda stickers
Excellent.
that I'm going to be giving away, and I got a bunch of decks of cards. Oops, decks of cards that I'm going to be giving away too. So we're going to have us a big party, and that was good. I dropped the bottle. It didn't break.
It didn't break either. That was good.
So anyway, the point is we got lots of stuff we're going to give away. This is going to be a grand thing, and I want everybody to come. Show up on the Milky Way Soul Tribe. Order your cards from the Crystal Network.
It's the Crystal Network.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
all
You
the
can go
links.
there. All the links are probably, you got all the links.
Milky Way, there, your channel is down there. Just make
Yeah.
sure. Now, then, what time is it?
It's 9 o'clock Central Time.
7 o'clock. Okay.
Yeah,
I need to remind myself.
7 o'clock your time, I think. So 9 o'clock my time, 7 o'clock your time, I think. So anyway, I'm hoping everybody, and anybody who wants to come on and you haven't, let me know. If I haven't sent you a link to the Zoom meeting thing, you know, go ahead, send me an email, and I will send you a link. And, you know, and if you want, just send me an email and say you're coming, so I know who, you know, kind of like a RSVP, you know.
I think you're going to have a big crowd. I think you'll have the largest crowd you've ever had.
Oh, I'm hoping to. And like I said, we're giving a lot of stuff away. And
yeah, free stuff, people. Come on.
You know, these are expensive cards.
Yes, they are.
Everybody wants some, and it'll be great. I'm going to feel really good about giving a lot of them away, you know, to people. And they're awesome. They're awesome. They really
you
are.
know, these cards, you know, when the essence of the people who are on this, a lot of energy in here. You can make a contact, you know.
Well, it's nice to see the people you talk to. Like, we see these people in chat, and I've seen them more by having them on my show, but when you look at them on the cards, it's like, hey, I know who that is. And
yeah,
it's a closer
and
connection.
now I get to see what some of them who I didn't know.
Yes.
You know, it's like,
yes.
oh, so that's what that person looks like. You know,
Yes.
you beautiful being you.
Absolutely. We're going to have a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. I just put out a video advertising it all, and hopefully, you know, people watch that and remember to come, and it's going to be a good time.
And subscribe and hit the like button at the same time.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Brian. And somebody had sent me an email, said, hey, you know, I really didn't know Brian, and, you know, whatever. It's not about knowing Brian. It's knowing the message that he started us out. And like you said, he's going to guide us from the other side.
I think so.
I know he guides me when I get on this computer and I do the show and I try to make up these videos and stuff. I swear he's pushing me in them directions, because I don't know how I end up doing the things I do to make everything work out, or the ideas that are coming through, you know, my head at that moment to make everything work. How else would that be possible?
I'm right there with you, friend. I am right there with you. Again, I say that you do more good over there because, you know, I wouldn't want my friend to come back into this, particularly what we see coming in for the future of this present time. Stay over there. Again, run, Forrest, run, you know.
Run.
But
Yes.
well, Robert, it has been a delight, brother. I have really enjoyed this. This is the hour just
flew by.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot of fun. Well, everyone, we will see you tomorrow night over there. I think tonight over on Dramata 7. I think I saw Teresa say that I think Mac Vision is going to be on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Max Vision. He's awesome. I want to give a big shout out to him. He was on my show and told
I'll
about
have
his
to have
whole
him back on. I have
story.
to have him on this channel. I haven't.
Yeah, I mean, it's very fascinating, that remote viewing. I'm getting so good at it. I'd like to participate more a lot of times, but I get tired. It's late at night, or I miss it. But you know, when it's the focusing thing, it's really tuned me in. I mean,
Concentration.
Yeah.
Concentration. That's what it is. I'm just reading some of the comments. Well, all of y'all, make sure you hit the like button down there. Come on. You know, there's should be at least 163 like buttons up there. Come on, folks.
There you go.
Yeah, all right.
Hit the button. Hit the button.
We'll get you on, Max. Definitely. Guy and Paul, much love to you. Peter, Jenny, much love to you, hon. David Castle, Beloved Abstract, Teresa, all of y'all, you know. So, Robert, thank you, brother.
Thanks for having me.
You'll have a tremendous turnout. I have no doubt it'll be fun. I'll be out there and, you know, stop in and say hey, and, you know, we'll take it from there.
Thank you. Thank you very much. See you there.
All right, everyone. Favor everyone. We will see you later. As Robin said.